We're 4 episodes into the new Disney Plus series, Daredevil Born Again. Let's find out what I think so far. Hello, YouTube. Axie here once again. And 4 episodes in, this is a spoiler full review of what I think so far. Why am I picking 4 episodes specifically right now? It's because the timeline for the series, what's happening next week is just like the premiere where they drop 2 episodes back to back to kick off the series. Episodes 5 and 6 are going to follow the same format. They're going to drop them on the same Tuesday night. So we're going to get the number 5 and number 6 back to back. So I'm curious as to why they're doing that. And now that I've seen episode 4, and obviously the first other 3, I kind of know why. I don't yet quite know what's going to happen, but I have my opinions. And again, once again, this is spoilers. If you haven't seen the first, second, third, fourth episodes of Daredevil Born Again, do not watch this moving forward because I am going to spoil a lot of things. Let's go. Episode 1 kicks off with a gut punch. Just kicks you right in the balls with the death of Foggy Nelson by, of course, none other than Bullseye. There's a lot of things that are happening in the show that I don't quite know why they're happening. It's been explained in other videos, kind of like why is Bullseye Agent Poindexter? Why is he out? You know, why does he just make an appearance at the very beginning? Why is Kingpin out? Last time we checked, he was in prison at the end of Daredevil season 3, and yet he makes an appearance in Echo and he makes an appearance in Hawkeye. And I had to go into other people's YouTube videos. Thank you for everybody and anybody that provided feedback on this. And apparently it's because of the blip. It's because of the disappearance, the snaps, Thanos, and then the return that Hulk did. All of that went on in the MCU. So apparently it has to do a lot with that, which is, I guess, it's a MacGuffin. It's a easy writing way of getting out of having to explain. But I get it. I totally get it. So why is not so much the question as much as what happened, right? So Bullseye comes in, kills Foggy. What I liked about it is how Daredevil was very comic bookish at the very beginning of episode 1. It was something that I felt lacked in the Daredevil series, although I love that Daredevil series and there's a lot of grounded, content on there. But he is a comic book character, and I've always wanted more of a comic book-ish take on it at times. Not always, but at times. So I like the fact that he was swirling his baton, flinging around New York City, a la Spider-Man style. I mean, he's always teaming up with Spider-Man. Not always, but he is just as flexible. He is just as, acrobatic, although he doesn't have the spider powers, obviously. But he is just as acrobatic and agile as, let's say it's Spider-Man. So his batons, his billy clubs, when he starts swirling them around, I love that. I actually love that. So to see that, I get that a lot of people aren't liking that. It's okay. I personally do. That's episode 1. He decides not to be Daredevil again. They cut straight to 1 year later, and him and Wilson Fisk have this intense talk about they're not going to revert back to their ways. Agent Poindexter, aka Bullseye, gets life in prison. Karen Page comes back. Apparently, Matt Murdock hasn't talked to her. He's gone silent. The death of Foggy Nelson is just totally F with him. And we kind of leave it at that into the next episode where there's a lot more exposition, a lot more talking, if you will. And that's okay with me. And I'll tell you why. The exposition and all the talking that happens, it's building up to something. If anyone out there doesn't know this already, this first part of Daredevil Born Again is 9 episodes long, but it's not the end. We're actually going to get a second part, which is another 9 episodes. So what Disney, Marvel promised the audience and the MCU fans out there is an 18-episode Born Again series. So these first 9 episodes are exactly that, 9 episodes. We are going to get into the second 9 episodes next year, apparently. If I'm not mistaken, they are not wasting time in between. This was all filmed together, but for some reason they're splitting the two 9 episode series apart. They're not calling it Daredevil Born Again season 1 and season 2 though. So not that that's concerning. It's just kind of curious. I don't know why they're doing it that way. Uh, Let me know in the comment section if you kind of know why they're doing it that way. I haven't looked into it that deeply, but it's just kind of, well, I guess it is concerning. And to go back about all the talking parts, it's building up to something. And now knowing that it's going to be 18 episodes, I mean, we have a long time to actually take a deep dive into these characters, just like the Netflix series did, right? Those were hour-long episodes. There was 3 seasons, and each one had 13 episodes. So we really got to take a deep dive into this. So I have been hearing a little bit of bickering on the internet. People aren't really liking that it's a lot more talk and less action, but that's okay when you have so much left to go. And that's what we got in the first 2 episodes. It was jam packed for the first 10 minutes, and then a lot of exposition, a lot of talking in a courtroom, finding out what these characters are up to at this point. And the kind of sucky part here is that they promised us that we were going to get Foggy and Karen, the whole team back, only to just break them apart right away. The old bait and switch, the old switcheroo. And I was okay with that too. Because they subverted our expectations, and I'm not always a big fan of subverting expectations. That drives me nuts sometimes. But in this case, I think it worked because now we're introduced to the newer characters. Another point of contention that I've heard from a lot of people is, I don't know if these new characters are as good as the old, as Foggy and your Karen. How can they be? We've known them all of 2 seconds. We got to give these guys time. They took, as I just mentioned, 13-hour-long episodes per season, 3 seasons. Come on, ladies and gents. We've had a lot more time invested in them, and we've only been watching these guys for, like I said, 2 seconds. It seems like. So the talking and the exposition and the just describing what's happening in each one of their lives, from Matt Murdock dating that psychologist, to Wilson Fisk and Vanessa going to therapy. All of that I am enjoying, because we need to first go back to finding out who these characters are now, not who they were back then. That is yet another thing, though. But I'm okay with finding out who they are now, not who they were back then. That said, anyone that's been watching the series knows that we are slowly creeping back to who they were. So that's the nice part. That's the nice part that I've been noticing myself in these first 4 episodes, especially at the end of episode 4. And you can see the transition. You can see Wilson Fisk in his voice. You can see when he wants to be Mayor Fisk and having to go through all the red tape and the bureaucracy and the bullshit that all of the legit politics has to go through, what he has to go through. Whereas when he's the kingpin, he doesn't have to do any of that, right? He can just go from point A to Z like that. But now he has to go A, B, C, D, because he's legit. You can hear it in his voice. If you pay attention, when he's speaking, Mayor Fisk starts, and by the time he gets to the end and he's frustrated, it's almost like this guttural, he's turning into the kingpin right before our eyes. I think Vincent D'Onofrio is doing an amazing job of that. And Matt Murdock having to go from not being Daredevil, and of course, Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock did have that conversation where they told each other, you stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine. If you cross your lines, then there's going to be hell to pay. So it's almost like they're both waiting and yet not waiting. They're not even caring really about what the other person is doing. Honestly, on the show, I haven't really seen Matt Murdock give a damn what Wilson Fisk is doing as mayor, and vice versa. I don't even think that, except for one small part when Wilson Fisk finds out that Matt Murdock is White Tiger's lawyer and gets him off the hook. He was going to almost serve life in prison, gets him off the hook. He gets shot anyways at the end of episode 3, but it gave the impression that Wilson Fisk made that call to have him killed, right? They didn't quite out say it, but then you get to the end of episode 4, and Wilson Fisk has gone back to his sadistic ways, yet in secret. Nobody really knows what he's up to yet, and yet he is one crazy SOB. and he's back to his ways. And then equally, you see Matt Murdock on the rooftop practicing with his billy clubs, his baton, his grappling hook, and I am loving it. I'm loving it because they're showing us both. They're showing how both of them have their own personal reasons of why they're reverting back from being just your Matt Murdock lawyer, Wilson Fisk mayor, to Kingpin Daredevil. And then they give us almost like an Easter egg at the very end of episode 4, where they show the psycho killer, the serial killer. That in and of itself, I forget the character's name. I'm drawing a blank right now. Make fun of me in the comment section. You should have researched this before you made the video. I get that. But then we're heading into that. Now, I don't know who is going to go over the top by that character starting their murderous spree. But now we get, is that going to make Daredevil finally become Daredevil, Matt Murdock turning, or is that going to just drive, for some reason, Mayor Fisk into becoming Kingpin again because he can't stand that there's outlaws out there not following the rule of criminal law? Because that's another thing that's really pissing him off, is that criminals aren't falling into line. They're not scared of him anymore. And that's yet another layer on top of why Mayor Fisk is like, you could just tell that he's reverting back to that. I'm loving that. And then Matt Murdock having a nice girlfriend, and just almost like you kind of see like he's having a nice life. We all know that's not going to last. It's Matt Murdock. It's Daredevil. The guy has like one of the most tragic, stories of all time, every time, it seems like. But here we are. And let's not forget, of course, Punisher with Daredevil, or actually, I take that back, Frank Castle with Matt Murdock and their exchange. Matt Murdock just seems to walk into his secret lair. So I don't know exactly what's happening there. They haven't explained it. And as a matter of fact, they don't explain a lot of things. But just like comic books, ladies and gents, that's okay. If you read as many comics as I do, they do this in comics all the time. Ask anyone, if you're more on the TV show and movie viewing side of things, that's okay. Talk to some of your friends, family that read a lot of the comic books and also enjoy the TV and the movie, versions. Ask them about this. Does this happen in comics all the time? Yes, all the time. A character comes back and there's really no explanation. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. You get a new writer, you get a new illustrator, a new inker, a new everything, and they just bring these stories back to life, these characters back to life, or out of jail, or whatever the case may be. One of the biggest culprits is actually Jim Lee bringing back Jean Grey back in the 90s. That's a whole other video. So even though they're not really providing a lot of explanation for a lot of things, such as the Bullseye and Kingpin and things like that, that's okay. It's all right with me. So you have Frank Castle, who is now in his secret lair, and Matt Murdock just knows exactly where to find him. And they have a beautiful exchange. By beautiful, I mean brutal. Once again, Frank Castle had his tete-a-tete with Matt Murdock, and one of the best lines in all 4 episodes so far gets dropped, where Frank Castle's antagonizing Matt Murdock and trying to get him to hate the fact that Bullseye's still alive, is only in prison. He should have killed him. You guys know where Punisher's stance is on criminals. He doesn't believe in redemption. It's like done. Whereas Matt Murdock, as a Catholic, I'm a Catholic too, believes in redemption, is that people can always be redeemed, can always redeem themselves. So there's always that conflict. And in this case, it's Foggy is the person of context within their conversation. So Frank Castle tells them, He's antagonizing him, and Matt Murdock finally loses it, yells out, "He got life!" And of course, in true Punisher fashion, John Bernthal, man's a genius, just kind of goes, "Oh, what about Foggy? You get life? Oh, oh, you didn't bother kicking the groin. He didn't bother punching the face. He just went straight to the jugular with that comment to Matt Murdock." I was like, oof, oh, it was so good. Just the way he delivered that, I was like, ouch, 100 times ouch. It was just that bad. And equally, a part where I was just like, oof. Another part that made me laugh actually was watching Wilson Fisk, Mayor Fisk, sit down at the Latvian Heritage Month performances by the kids and then the adults with the singing, and you just see him just seething. D'Onofrio, you're the man. Just like Bernthal and Charlie Cox. I mean, you guys are all geniuses. What a cast. So, as you can tell from this video, I'm loving it so far. And for everyone that is not very happy with all the exposition, I've said exposition like 1,000 times in this video, with all the talking, guess what? We're heading into that double parter 5 and 6. And with everything that's happened so far, I think we're all going to get what we finally want. I'm okay, but for those that want more action, I think you're going to get it in these next 2 episodes. Well, let's find out. But I think it's going to get very dark, very fast, and very punchy. Very comic book, pow, boom, bam. We'll see. But that's it for this video. As always, collect what you love what you collect, watch Daredevil. I'm loving it. If you're not, watch it just so you can leave me a comment. Can you tell that I'm trying to get you guys to leave more comments in the comment section? But I will definitely see you guys in the next one.